Hey there, Alto Wisdom speaking. We continue our sessions on the kick. We'll still be working on the pitch subpatcher. We are making the almost final tweaks to the graphical interface to have something which is as convenient as it can be, and before switching to the next step. So let's get onto it. Spent a little bit of time cleaning up the patches, just rounding up things, moving some lines and some objects here and there, and a little bit more time as well inside the subpatcher where the editing happens, so it's a bit more readable. And I've taken the time to make a few comments here and there for things to do, or that I could do. Not yet decided for all of them, but let's start with something simple. Here we have this pitch thing, which is both calculating from these values the minimum and maximum frequency that should be shown, and outputting the values of the pitch. However, this outlet 2 and 3, which output the pitch value, not in frequency, outlet 2 and 3, are then used here. And I see that they are converted back. So this one is converted into something which I don't understand, because here this is the output of my envelope, and so I'm receiving amplitude. If you remember the curve format, let's just open the documentation. The curve format is telling basically how going from one point to another in a few minutes, in a specific number of milliseconds. So this is what it's received, but so the input will always be between 0 and 1. So I don't understand why there is a connection here. So I'm gonna get rid of this one. It was probably from the previous version. And then I see that all I do with these pitches is use them as frequencies, which doesn't make any sense here, because I already have these frequencies there. As you can see, this is the minimum frequency, and here the maximum frequency. So let's just use these things. I still need to keep the outlet, but I'm gonna use them. So let's copy with the color. If I do that, I'm duplicating the same cable, so I'm using the same color, which is a little bit better visually. Let's align that. And getting back to the main patcher here, I can remove this and this. So that was a small issue that I was having. Yeah, there's no way to have this aligned. The second thing is that if I modify, let's open the console. If I modify anything inside my inner patcher, let's show the pitch. I've just printed what is outputted from here. It's outputting actually values, but that's not what I'm expecting. So if I want to play the curve, so trigger the curve like so, because it's triggered by here, I want to have some kind of line, one single message, which gives me all the points, direction, and curves in just one message. So it's gonna somehow play this pattern. What I noticed is that here I have the outlet, so we can check what happens if I dump it. Yeah, I think it's bank. I need to send to this. Yeah. So this is actually outputting what I want, apart from the time span of it. So I have my x, y, and curve value. So the x, that's the actual direction. So that's x and that's y and y, of course. I'm sorry, but if I take this back, so I'm going. The first value would be. So the first value would be the initial amplitude, the target amplitude, and finally the time spent to go to that amplitude. So here we're going from 0.64 to 0.04. By the way, I don't understand why. And in 0 time, okay, because that's my initial point. That would be my initial point. So I can't use only an unpack to process that. I need to do something a bit more complex. So we're gonna use a very useful set of objects, which is namely the zl. So zl allow us to deal with complex messages. As you see, there's quite a bunch of functions inside zl. You can sort lists, you can stack lists, you can use lists as a first in, first out streams. You can stream them and output the last items. But what I want to do is process all these items by packets of 3, given that the first one would be the start point, the second one would be the end point, and the last one would be the time. So for that, we're gonna use zl.iter to iterate, and I want to iterate three values at once. I'm gonna connect that here. And then it will output to me groups of messages. If I print the output of my iter, let's try again. Let's see. Interestingly, it's sending me a 1 message. Let's see why the first one is separated from the others. Yeah, that's probably, oh yeah, I remember now, because if I read the documentation of this, and I'm using the curve mode, which is the mode what I want, not yet sure. Because that would mean if I do that, because this is only sending me these values. Does this one, which I don't understand where it's actually coming from. So maybe I have to do something like that. I want first empty my iteration. That's unclear. So when I'm outputting values from here, they're gonna be copied, but I want first to make sure my iteration object is clear, and then I'm gonna output the values. It's not printing. Let's check again on documentation. There's an undocumented zl reset. I think that's zl clear. Clears the currently have this. Yeah, so that should be it. Let's try something else, because maybe it's losing memory of the numbers of item it has to output. But it's still sending me a 1. Let's check on the example. The example doesn't do that. So this definitely something else. Let's print the output of my envelope. Okay, the envelope is actually sending a value of 1. Yeah, I think I get it. Because if you just send a message, to curve with one element, it will use that as a direct target. So in no time, it's gonna jump to that value, and this is, I think, why the envelope is sending this, because the first thing would be the init value of the curve. So I need to cope with that, I think. And if I change my maximum value here, and I redo that, the first message would be different, because my init value would be different. Yeah, 0. And if I change it to something in the middle, it's going to be 0.37. So that's it. Okay, so I need to repeat that thing, and for doing so, I need to separate that very first message, which is just the initialized value. And for doing so, we're going to use zl.slice, which is another zl element. And I want to slice one element. So I want to separate in my incoming list. I want to separate the first element from the rest. And my first element would directly go. So I can remove all this for the time being, but my first element would go directly to my output. This is the outlet, which is sent to curve, and the rest will actually pass through my zl iter thing. If you see now my printing, let's just check. My iterate has the right information. However, I might be missing one element, maybe because this actually was not clear. So anyway, I think it would be good to add some failsafe, so something like TL zl clear. It's always better to make sure that we're starting right, especially when you're debugging. I mean, it's maybe not useful later on. it's not printing anything. So my construct of just a bit before. So here I want to initialize again with groups of 3. So I got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, which means that I'm missing one value. Okay, so set the target value, ramp time, and curve parameter. So target value, ramp time. I think I've shifted somewhere. Let's display again this. So this is so I got exactly 12 values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a bit weird. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, counting again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, I get 12 values, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. So that's a bit weird. Let's do something alternating 1 and zeros, and everything with curves like 0. Done that already, but for the time being I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong. So okay, so print 0. Okay, so I actually have 2 separate messages. Let's just add a name to that print. So if you see my list, my function is actually outputting 2 different messages, and not just everything in one, which means that this slice wouldn't work because it's missing one element. So instead what I need to do is, whenever something gets out of here, the first message has to be sent directly to the output, as I was doing here, but not using slice. So let's remove slice, and then the rest has to be separated. So get list length, and what I want to do now is trigger my list twice. So my message would pass through here and would be separated and split in twice. The first one would be to request the length of my list, and if that length is equal to 1, so it's different from 1, then it means that I have a series of triplets, and then I can send them to my iter, and then that's not it. Not directly. I probably need to use a gate here, a gate using 2 outputs, so that gate will receive my list. So if I'm equal, and this is gate 1 and this is gate 2. So let's use a simple expression. So my expression would be to check if the input from the first input is different from 1, and I'm adding 1 to this. So if my length is 1, then this thing is 0, so my output here is 1. But if the length is more than 1, then the output of that is 2. So it's gonna open the second outlet. Simple logic, but yet has to be passed on. So that's the second outlet, and the first outlet will be directly sent to the output. And here, let's keep this here. So this way, my ZL is actually processing only the triplets, and the values here are intercepted. So let's add a print here to check if it's working. Yeah, anyway, we're gonna check that later. Just making sure that here we have a 1, which is a 0, which is the initial value, and then we have the iterate, which actually has triplets. So that's good. Now, getting back here, what I'm seeing here, so that's target, time, and curve. All right. So that's what I was expecting. Not sure. So I have target, time, and curve. We may just change. Oops, sorry. Let's just play a little bit with the curves. Clear that and print. Now the third element should be different. But I removed the print. Yeah, okay. So in my group, I have the first one. So now I know what I can do. So I'm receiving groups of 3. So I'm gonna unpack these 3 values as floating points. Then I will reconstruct them back. The third value, which is the curve, is passing on untouched. The first one as well, which is the target in amplitude, but the second one actually has to be multiplied by scaled by the amount of time that the duration of our curve, of our function. Something like that. And this now, if I print it, so I may need to, no, that's okay. Let's try and print. The outlet is actually sending the same values, but with a different second argument, which is the time span, because my overall stuff is like, so the sum of all this corresponds to my 566, which is what I'm expecting. So let's send this here and save. Let's just do a modification there to force output. change. So this is actually triggering twice. So maybe there is some repetition here, which I need to correct. But what it's sending is what my curve here is receiving is firstly an initial value, which is 0, which corresponds to the start value of my pitch envelope, and then series of targets, time span, and curves. So that's what I'm expecting. I'm not sure that's working that much. At least it's changing thing here. And we see now that my pitch envelope here is changing as well. I may try to do something a bit more drastic just to check what it's doing. I think for now this is not working anymore because somehow the time span is not taken properly into account, but I think it's not yeah, my maximum value seems to be ignored. Yes, because what I'm receiving here are only values between 27, yeah, which is -1. So no, that's the values are right, but it's not generating the right thing. But it's not now that we have to handle this. So let's open the dispatcher again. Maybe clear a little bit all the cluttered. Because now, yeah, there's a second thing that I want to do. When I'm editing, if you have a look here, when I'm changing a point, yeah, this is wrong, but it's normal. When I'm editing a point, I get the mouse, which is somehow this display is an annoyance because I don't need it at all. Or maybe, yes, I do. That's actually interesting. Let's do that in the main patcher. Just so when I'm editing a point, I see where I'm actually going. So that's nice. Okay. I could at some point make something a bit more clever, like changing the display below the mouse depending on what I'm doing. So for example, if I'm editing a curve, so I'm pressing Alt or Option if you're on the Mac, and I'm clicking, then it means that I'm changing the curve, so I should actually display the curve, which is calculated. The thing is, as I already told, my envelope is not outputting anything until I release the mouse, and that's a point which I wanted to check. If the envelope doesn't output anything because it's not triggering any bang here, because the bang is actually updating all the output value, or if it's because the envelope is not triggered. So let's give it a try, and adding, it's not gonna be very nice, but let's add a metro here, which will be 100 milliseconds to force this. Maybe that's a bit too much. 0, 1 every second. Let's clean up this thing and remove the display, because now I want to see if actually my envelope is changing. Not sure if you understand what I mean. What I want to do is basically output update this as I'm editing, if it does anything. No. So my envelope doesn't seem to output anything until I actually release the mouse. Or maybe that's not this one which I want to output, but this one, like so. No. So there's no way of having this display updated as I do the modification, and this is why the envelope, the live function here has an option which I personally find quite awful, to show the legend at the top of the object. So if I'm hovering on a point, if I'm editing a point, it should, it's displaying things. But as my point, my X and Y are not in the target coordinates, it's actually not what I want. So we don't actually need to display this curve, because that's only this which is causing a problem. Let's remove this and let's move on. So here I have this text which I would like to display a bit more than just that frequency. I would like to have both the frequency and the not value corresponding to it. So using the live num box is not what I want. I would probably have to use a live text. Because this thing, which is one of the live elements, has the nice property that if I send a message containing text, it's gonna update the contents. So what I can do now is whenever that value changes, I want to make a construct using the frequency and the node values. So I'm gonna use sprintf, which allows us to format a shape, and I would receive firstly the floating point value, then I would put a parenthesis, and then a text value, and I want to prefix that by text because that's the message I want to send. So and I need to use what's outputted from here. I have to pack two elements, a floating point and a text, I think. Not sure how I can convert textually. Let's give it a try. But what I want to do is have a frequency converted to a note number. But I think this doesn't get me text symbol. It actually gets me a value between 0 and 127. yeah, I'm gonna figure out a way and report back in a minute or so. As usual, you don't want to try and reinvent the wheel each time you need something. So first reflex is to go to the Max website, Cycling 74 forums, and someone I just asked this kind of question to convert MIDI notes to their textual value. There are several ways to do so. You can use like a small collection with just the note name and then use a modulo to find out the octave number. But this has a readily available list. If you see here, someone just make the effort of doing so, although it's in all flat values, so maybe people are a bit more used to use sharp values, but whatever, it's no big deal. So let's use that for the time being. And so if I connect this output that we have here, which converts the amplitude that we have there, the pitch and the pitch value that we have here, into a note, at least not exactly a pitch, but somehow, because you see it's not round values, but if I just connect this here, it should, let's make a message. Yeah, as you see, it's sending, it's already sending values because it's actually updating as I move my mouse here, and so I can use that text. So the output is here, and I can pack firstly this, not this one, because this one is updated, it's not outputting anything, directly this and this, and then I can have a look at what it does. Yeah, it's not a symbol. Is that sim? Oh, sorry. Yeah, no. Hold on a sec, just checking. I don't use this thing that much, but that's, yeah, that's actually a sim that I want. It should get us the symbol, but for some reason it doesn't give that to me, so it's probably set as a message. Oh, that would be the, okay, the first inlet is the item number, but the second one is actually the text that we want. And so now I have what we want. So I have this pack symbol, this pack thing, so I can use both, and I can create from this these two elements. The first one is the hertz, the second one is the note number. So I'm gonna convert that because the hertz is a bit too precise. So I want to format that into something which doesn't have anything decimal in terms of the decimals. I think it's useless, and it's labeled in hertz, like so. And now you see it's only giving me integer values for the frequency, and in parentheses the closer note number corresponding to that frequency normally. And then if I send this message here instead of directly from there, then my text here would be updated. Should be updated, should I say? So we're gonna check if it's working. Oh, that's an inbox. So no, it's not inbox that I want. I want it live dot text, like so. And I may need to add some quotes, but maybe I need to protect them using backslash. trying to find where to actually backslash. So it's a bit plus backslash quote, and then another backslash quote. Let's see if it's any better. Yeah, that's what we wanted. So now this thing is updated properly. What I'm noticing is that it's probably wider than what we had earlier. So this is useless. This should be added to the presentation. And let's just grab the same size. So 9.5, which is my font size, and the font name Ableton Sans Medium. So that's the same one. Yeah, a bit weird because it seems smaller, but it actually isn't. So I need to remove the border to match the other one. The background is transparent, at least for the time being. And let's check what it does on the right patcher. Oh yeah. The thing is, I got the name wrong now for the second one. Whoop. Because if you remember, I'm sending messages, and now I just removed, so I can't remember what the name was. I need to get into my envelope manager. And here, so that is sandbox to mouse pitch, but where is mouse pitch decided? The mouse pitch, why? Because it's the frequency. So I'm gonna take this and call it mouse pitch Y, and now it should properly follow. Oh, I need to zoom. Seems to be gone. Live numbers understand text. No, this is something else. I may need to save and maybe close and reopen again. It has happened lately that an object didn't want to move. No matter what I did, it didn't receive the messages. So I'm not really sure what's the reason for that. Because the name is right, as you can see, and I'm sending it the proper message, but the initialize maybe need to be done again, because I've changed the target object. Okay, that's better. And as you see, my value is following, but it's not wide enough. So I'll need to adjust in my script to something which will work for even high frequencies. Now I'm 81 in my patching rectangle, so let's make it 80. And I need to cope with that. So here my Y would be 80. However, I need to change this to make sure that we are not stuck. So we had 90, which was 44, 45 times 2, or 44 times 2, maybe let's 79. So that would be 80 plus 45, so 125. That would be our margin, 125. And it should get us right. You can come back and check that afterwards if it's not enough and it's not moving again. Yeah, I need to redo the initialization probably. Yeah. So now I have my note name, which is here. That's a bit weird because I'm stuck at G flat 8. It doesn't get updated that much. This doesn't get updated that much. Maybe it is because I'm not sending integer values to it. Because anyway, I'm gonna first separate these two because I have two outlets coming, starting from the same element and going to the same place, and it's usually not a good idea. So what I want to have is my symbol first. So I'm gonna have my integer first, which will descend to the note name, and the floating value, which is my frequency, secondly, like so. Oh, and I have something wrong. Yeah. I do have 225. That's not good. 27 to 830. This is not pitch. Yeah, this is frequency. So this scale is actually wrong. Yeah, let's convert back here from the frequency that we are receiving to a MIDI note, which will be the number here. Okay, should be better. Right, C0, C4, and maximum should be G4, which means AB4, that's the same. If I increase that to G8, I'm gonna have G8, almost. There might be some rounding here, because here I have E8. Yeah, that's an interesting one. As you can see, we have a lot of compression here in our lower notes. This is due to the fact that MIDI notes, they are not sent, trying to find my words, they are not split in equal parts within the spectrum. In the distance in terms of number of hertz between one note and the next one is very small if you are in the lower frequencies and very high in the highest frequency. So it means that the difference here to go from, say, F8 to F sharp 8 is much higher than the same to go from here, from I can't even go there, from F3 to G3, G sharp 3, G minus 3, G flat 3. And so this is something that we'll probably need to correct and have some kind of linear to logarithmic scale conversion within our pitch envelope. That would be much more convenient if it's necessary to use note numbers, which I'm not that sure. But anyway, if we want to have a little bit of precision in the lower frequency, and this is usually something that we want to have for a kick, it's going to probably be necessary to do so. So that would mean that anything I do here would have to be converted into logarithmic values. It's no big deal in terms of the editing here. It's just a matter of converting here. So we can even try now. So let's see what we have to change if we want to use these values instead. And making sure as well that if I'm sending out, which goes from the first inlet here, that my values which I'm receiving here are converted to logarithmic values before being sent, so that if I just send a comment, so 1.0 would be, let's change the color of that comment. Make that simpler. So 1 in terms of the highest value of my envelope would mean, in this example, G8. 0 would still mean A minus 1. But everything in the middle would be scaled logarithmically instead of doing it exponentially, linear in a linear fashion as we do it usually. So it's probably some kind of pretty easy formula using some logs. I'm gonna just write it down because I don't want to think online for too long. So a little one I just grabbed from Stack Overflow, which allow to convert any linear scale into a logarithmic scale, which is what we want now. And so it basically allows one to convert from x0, x1 range to y0, y1 in logarithmic. So here my x0 is 0 and my x1 is 1, so that's my maximum, the minimum maximum values in my envelope. And the y0 and y1 are these values that we have here in terms of our pitch. So that's pretty easy. We have a simple expression, but I'm gonna need all of these. So we have to just to solve this small equation. So we have, let's say that x gonna be $f1, so $f1 minus 0, which is our minimum value for x, divided by 1 minus 0, which is x1 minus x0. All this has to be multiplied by the logarithm from y1, which would be $f3 maximum pitch minus logarithm of $f2, which will be our y0. So this is first. I'm gonna connect this this one, which is f2. This one, oh no, I want the min and max values instead, just to make sure that I'm not doing wrong. So let's grab these two cables at the same time and copy them here as F2 and F3, and here I can use a value which would be from 0 to 1, and then we're not quite there yet. I need to output something here, of course. So you see it's not yet what we wanted, but because this is the computation of logarithm of y minus log of 0, so on top of that we're gonna have to add like so log of $f2, which means log 0. I forgot a parenthesis, and yeah, yeah. I'm receiving none. None means that the value is wrong. The data. I want data because I changed my formula, like so. Okay, and finally, this is a log of y, so I'm going to take the exponential value of all this. Oops. Like so. Let's update again. And if I just display these values here, let's just output that. So we should have something between 32.7 and 3789. So if I press 0, I get the minimum value, and if I press 1, I get the maximum value, which is okay. And now the change of frequency is occurring. It's much more compressed. Let's do that drastically. Let's go to the maximum here and the minimum there. So as you can see, we are really having very low values. This is 12K, and so maximum value is my 12K. One sec, just increasing that size again as well. And if I diminish, you see that I'm just diminished a little bit, but my frequency is shifting quite a lot. And if I go to 0, you're gonna see that I have quite some precision for my low frequencies. So this is what I wanted. Then I'm gonna have to copy that formula and instead connect it to everywhere when I wanted to use that 0. And however, what I'm sending here is a value between 0 and 1, because I'm using the shape again. So the conversion will be even simpler in that specific case. Let's just simplify it, because the -0, of course, doesn't make sense. The division by 1 minus 0 doesn't make sense either. Okay. Yep. So this is a formula which is a little bit cleaned. And in the case of what I'm outputting to the top view patcher, it's gonna be converting again from 0, 1 to the actual MIDI notes. So I don't need to handle that thing. Oh, sorry. I don't need to handle that thing myself. So I'm gonna assume that $F3, so F3 is gonna be 1, because I'm gonna go from 0 to 1 in all cases. But $F2 is a bit more problematic because it would be minus infinite. So that will be a bit hard to convert in that case. In that case, maybe we only need to use. Yeah, I need to have the same value. I need to have the same calculation, because what I'm gonna display here is what I want exactly there. So we're gonna change that. I'm gonna insert here this thing. This is pretty new actually. I just noticed that you can insert using a shift between two cables, and this is pretty new. It's in the latest update of Max, or one of the very recent one, I think in 8.5 or 8.5.6 even. But in that case we need to copy these things, so that will be the first thing to do. And on the main patcher here, on the main patcher there, we actually don't need to do any conversion from here, because I'm gonna output a direct frequency, which is even better. So let's connect this directly there, and we can remove that scale thing. So that curve here already has the right frequencies. Alright, and the same function will be used here, because that value which I'm using has to be converted in the proper scale. So it's probably going to replace this element that we have here. So let's just Command Alt and V. So I'm going to replace this thing, and I'm going to take the two parameters from there and set them here, and we should pretty much be good with this switch. So let's save. Let's switch to the main patcher. I'm gonna lock it, change the parameter just to make sure. And now if I play with my mouse, did I change the mouse either? I'm not sure. Yeah. Just no. Yeah, I mean I need to do it here as well. Like so. And now normally we're okay. We have to do the same here, but that would be opposite direction, because I need to convert back this frequency here, which is a regular frequency, into the proper scale. So we are gonna have to recreate the same formula, but in the opposite direction. So I'm gonna convert back to X. So it's another formula which is the opposite from this one. So let's write it down. Yeah, that's a little bit doing digital signal processing really means doing a lot of maths. So we are trying to calculate X, given that we know the rest of the parameters. So X is equal to X0, which means 0, so nothing, plus so we're gonna x1, so it's gonna be x1 minus x0, which means 1. So we only need to use logarithm of my input value minus log of my minimum value, which will be $F2, divided by logarithm of $F3 minus logarithm of $F2. Something like this. And now I'm using the same connections. I should get the opposite conversion. It's a bit more difficult. So this will be a frequency, so something between 20 and 22,000. Let's make sure that this is sent. Yeah, of course I'm lower than 27, so if I reach 27 I should be at 0. Yeah, 27.5 is 0. And if I increase, you see I'm increasing as well my frequency, but it's increasing slowly at the beginning, and only when I'm reaching like 1000 I'm gonna be at higher values, up to the point of reaching 4978, which is a bit far. You see I'm closer and closer. A bit cumbersome, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't do it wrong. So 4979 will be 1. Okay, so that's good. And this frequency is going to replace this formula is going to replace this one. And we already have the good connections, so that's fine. So now let's give it a try. So if I just follow my mouse, let's say I'm gonna move from A-1 to G8. So you see that my frequency is moving very slowly at the beginning, which allows me to have quite some precision. And then as I'm going upward, my frequency is increasing faster. Oops. But not my pitch. My pitch is going quite at the same speed. So I've actually compressed the higher part of the frequency range to make sure I have the same precision in the lower frequencies, and it should be the same here. Let's check if our values are okay. Yep. I'm wondering if I should change this one as well to display the note number, but not sure if it's any useful. I may want to add like 1 digit of precision in my frequency. Usually people tend to want to have at least 1 digit. So this is simple. Instead here of using this %.0f, I'm going to use %.1f, which means 1 digit after decimal, after the point. And now you see that my frequency value is a bit more accurate, and that is a good point because usually the note numbers, the MIDI notes, they are, when you get the frequency, usually you have like one digit behind the decimal point. So that's good. Okay. So we are pretty good with regards to the pitch envelope. Now I think we can switch. I've added a few comments more. So here, hiding current when the button is clicked, to make sure that if I'm moving something, it doesn't move, it doesn't change. So I wanted to say that I want to hide these things. So it's simple. If mouse is on, then this button means 1. and if mouse is off, then this button is off. So it's quite easy. If I add the message hidden $1 and I connect that to the mouse state, and then to my display here and there, and then so you see my mouse is displayed. If I click, the mouse instantly disappears. Same if I'm moving a point, I don't have my mouse anymore. So it might be a good idea or not, because as you see here, I don't see what I'm doing. So maybe that's not what we want to do. I was just wondering, but finally it might not be that good. Okay, but it was worth a try to see if there was a way to do it. So what we could do as well is hide the mouse, how this displays wherever we are not on the envelope. That would be cleaner. So for that we can use hover. So the hover is pretty easy. I think I need to, no, that's for the attributes. So hover allows us to know if we are passing on top of an object which has an actual name. So none means that there is no name. And as you see now, the first outlet tells me that I'm over pitch envelope. And the third one is the second one I want, because it will tell me when I actually leaving pitch envelope. So here, pitch envelope, and then I'm leaving pitch envelope. So I can drive this. And if I select pitch envelope, then I can send a message which would be hidden 0. So I want to have my mouse information appear. But if I'm leaving my pitch envelope, then I'm going to send the message hidden 1 to make sure that my mouse is not displayed anymore. I'm a bit worried because as we are in sub-patchers and B-patchers, sometimes the whole hover thing doesn't work that good. But let's see. So over the envelope, so I have my mouse, but if I go there, you see that my mouse has disappeared. So it seems to work so far. We'll check later if it's stable or not, but it's pretty easy, as you can see, to just have things appear and disappear depending on when you're hovering, what you're hovering on. Something we may want to do is have this thing, so not the thing below the mouse, but this thing disappear. No, because it's very interesting. I know where I'm coming from and I know where I'm going. So I have two very useful information if I'm tweaking a point. And I can even go back to the point without having to check or to remember where it was. So this is enough, at least for me. So that wasn't the longest session that we had. However, we've been quite productive today because we've added quite a lot of stuff. We have corrected the curve, the function to curve measure, and we have added some more displays, and we have handled them properly with the mouse following our elements. We as well converted the pitch display so that we have a better and more accurate way of editing the pitches, and especially with the low frequencies, which are important for the kick. So next step will probably be to copy this patcher into the amplitude envelope this time. So I'll see if I just copy the whole patcher and just reset up everything which would be quite an annoyance, but we may not have another option, or if I can just try to generalize this one and see if we can do that with a more effective way. So thank you for watching, take care, and see you on next session.